Please subscribe.
In the event that you require a sign that the blasting hybrid SUV market has achieved full development, simply take a gander at the quantity of specialty variations, finding some middle ground between built-up models. While new participants like the Mercedes-Benz GLB and the BMW X2 fill alphanumeric holes, uncommon flavors like these most recent M-marked BMW X machines clarify that the tall vehicle execution wars are well underway. In competition trim, the new BMW X3M and X4M produce an incredible 503 pull. That just so happens to be inside a tiny bit of both the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio and precisely equivalent to the Mercedes-AMG GLC63 S, either an inquisitive instance of cross-brand intrigue or the world's most prominent incident. How does the BMW pile up out and about and on the track? How about we begin with the look and the engine? We've surely observed and driven the new BMW X3 previously, most as of late in Module X-Drive 30e trim, where we observed it to be both drawing and productive. In any case, it's protected to state we've never observed it like this. In the engine, BMW has given one hell of a heart transplant, a 3.0-liter inline-six making 473 drive and 442 pound-feet of torque. Venture up to the competition model and you get to reward 30 horses, in addition to greater wheels, 21s versus 20 inches, and a couple of other visual redesigns. This motor is said to be 90% new, contrasted with the apparently comparative irregularity that shows up in the X3 M40i, including produced cylinders and an extraordinarily confused oil dish BMW says offers about all the track day advantages of a dry sump framework. Regardless of the double turbochargers, the motor still revs to a sound 7,200 revolutions per minute, however you won't have to test as far as possible to utilize that control, with pinnacle to torque coming at only 2,600. That power is steered through an 8-speed program transmission before being powered front and back. In spite of the fact that the X3/4 come up short on the BMW M5's capacity to go all-out back-wheel drive, and electronically overseen grip-type focus differential handles the torque split, sending a greater part to the back. At the back, an active M differential guarantees the two wheels continue turning, yet not turning. Every one of that makes for an immense update over the base X3/4's 248 horsepower, and fortunately BMW made some body moves up to match. Extra supporting traverses the front swagger towers and hangs out underneath the back sub-outline, while enormous 395mm front brakes are crushed behind 20 or 21-inch wheels. The competition moves on 255/40 front and 265/40 ZR21 back Michelin Pilot Sport tires. That is a great deal of sticky stuff on the black top, and that slight counterbalance size addresses the additional power going out through the back. Everything sounds reasonable enough for the track, in any event, until you factor in the weight. The ZM takes off at around 4,500 pounds, an entire 900 more than a BMW M4 and, only for kicks, doubled the heaviness of a Mazda MX-5. Beneficial thing that it has about multiple times the power. Truly, I know, hybrid SUVs apparently have about as much ideal to be on the course as they reserve an option to be on Dancing with the Stars. However, simply like Emmett Smith shocked the world on the unscripted television circuit, the X3 and X4M make for superior to anything capable move accomplices on a hustling circuit. For my testing, the track was Monticello Motor Club in New York, and for this part of my testing I was opened into the coupier molded X4 competition. However, the general driving elements sought to apply similarly to the boxier X3. Furthermore, how were those elements? Amazingly great. Monticello is a track with a sound blend of quick and moderate turns, a large portion of which request persistence and a late turn-in. Include a lot of off-camber stuff, and this is a genuine test for front-end grasp. On the off chance that your vehicle is experiencing perpetual understeer, at that point multi-day spent here can feel like a long one to be sure. Consider me a worrywart, yet it's interminable understeer that I was anticipating from the X4M, and, guess what? I was correct. Kind of. In its ordinary sports setting, which finds some middle ground among comfort and sport plus, the X4M did in fact flounder in the corners, front washing ceaselessly when I got excessively forceful and by and large inclination capable yet not locks in. All that changed with the fast two-fold tap of the M2 catch, one of two client configurable catches mounted on the left and right stalks of the controlling wheel. This knocked a large portion of the vehicle's different drivetrain settings up to Sport Plus, and abruptly things began feeling a ton unique. The motor and transmission were promptly unmistakably increasingly energetic, so too the dealing with. Ready to charge more enthusiastically both into and out of corners, the X4M turned out to be strikingly balanced and adjusted. I wouldn't venture to such an extreme as to call it agile, yet I would call it amazingly great and, indeed, shockingly fun. This isn't to imply that it was immaculate, nonetheless. While body roll is held honorably under control, the high seating position serves just to intensify the movement, leaving me feeling prepared to topple out of the, generally very strong, seats. And afterward there's the footing control, which was excessively negative even with the drivetrain on its most forceful setting. I have an inclination the X4M competition would be a legitimate hoot with the TC off, yet with a gracious solicitation to leave the frameworks empowered, and with the various dividers at Monticello never in excess of a concise snapshot of tactlessness away, I'll need to leave it as an activity for you, the per user, to find. Truly, I know, hybrid SUVs apparently have about as much appropriate to be on the course as they reserve an option to be on Dancing with the Stars, yet simply like Emmett Smith astounded the world on the unscripted television circuit, the X3 and X4M make for superior to anything capable move accomplices on a dashing circuit. For my testing, the track was Monticello Motor Club in New York. And for the spit of my testing I was opened into the coupier molded X4M competition, yet the general driving elements ought to apply similarly to the boxier X3. Furthermore, how were those elements? Amazingly great. Monticello is a track with a solid blend of quick and moderate turns, a large portion of which request persistence and a late turn-in. Include a lot of off-camber stuff, and this is a genuine test for front-end hold. In the event that your vehicle is experiencing constant understeer, at that point multi-day spent here can feel like a long one for sure. Consider me a cynic, yet it's unending understeer that I was anticipating from the X4M, and, guess what? I was correct. Kind of. In its mediocre sports setting, which finds some middle ground among comfort and sport plus, the X4M did in fact flounder in the corners, front washing without end when I got excessively forceful and for the most part feeling capable yet not locks in. All that changed with the snappy two-fold tap of the M2 catch, one of two client configurable catches mounted on the left and right stalks of the controlling wheel. This knocked the greater part of the vehicle's different drivetrain settings up to Sport Plus, and all of a sudden things began feeling a ton unique. The motor and transmission were quickly unmistakably progressively enthusiastic, so too the taking care of. Ready to charge more diligently both into and out of corners, the X4M turned out to be astoundingly balanced and adjusted. I wouldn't venture to such an extreme as to call it agile, yet I would call it strikingly great and, indeed, shockingly fun. This shouldn't imply that it was flawless, in any case. While body roll is held commendably within proper limits, the high seating position serves just to enhance the movement, leaving me feeling prepared to topple out of the, generally very steady, seats. And afterward there's the footing control, which was excessively cynical even with the drivetrain on its most forceful setting. I have an inclination the X4M competition would be an appropriate hoot with the TC off, however with a pleasant solicitation to leave the frameworks empowered, and with the various dividers at Monticello never in excess of a concise snapshot of tactlessness away, I'll need to leave it as an activity for you, the per user, to find. Things being what they are, is the X3 or X4M directly for you? By and by, I'd spend my $69,900 on the X3M and its additional payload space in the back. The individuals who lean toward the swoopier styling of the X4M will pay $73,400. Venturing up to the competition, with greater haggles more horses, adds an astounding $7,000 to the above costs. That is not actually a sound degree of profitability, however, then a 473-strength SUV isn't significantly more reasonable than one with 503 ponies, so don't give me a chance to rain on your motorcade in case you're tingling to tick that case. To the extent rivalry goes, again we need look no more distant than the Mercedes-AMG GLC63 S and the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. The previous begins at $81,800, while the last is $79,995, all again inside spitting separation. Be that as it may, of those three, just one is made in the US, which may simply influence some obtaining choices. We'll abstain from making a formal suggestion until we're ready to give either the X3 or X4M an appropriate audit. Up to that point, I need to state I was strong inspired. The X3 and X4M competition offers strange measures of intensity and balance in the kind of upstanding, down-to-earth bundling that cutting-edge shoppers are overwhelmingly saying they need to purchase. Perhaps this hybrid surge isn't so terrible all things considered.